I get it from a woman's perspective as to where, yeah, she's potentially hurt. She potentially gave this and that, and to a baby daddy or ex husband or whoever, right? But I mean, I I would almost say, man, that's part of life. But when you have a seed that's watching you, which is your reflection, how much of this statement that you're making, how much of that is being poured onto that child?
Yeah, but Viz, that's a more mature mindset that you have, and this woman might not have that type of mindset. A lot of times when women have children early, they miss out on so much and they still want to live. So she
But she
probably
got to be
didn't.
in her 30s, though, Kelly.
Well, I mean, I don't know how old she is, but she didn't look too old. But I'm
She
just saying when you
She looked young to me,
yeah, she looked
like
like
late
20s probably.
20s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, most women who don't have kids, they're living in their 20s, right? And so by the time they get to 30, they get married and have kids. They're not thinking about those things that they thought about in their 20s because they did it already.
I
So
think the perfect example of what we were talking about earlier, though, when it comes to having your children younger opposed to older, right? Because she's in this mindset, like Viz is saying, maybe she did go through a rough time, but when you have a more mature mindset, you realize that even though I'm going through things in life, I can't let that be the reflection of my life because I have someone always watching me. I have to be an example. But when you're younger, you don't think like that because, like I stated, you're still growing as a person, right? She going through her own things. And even though to her, this is okay, I thought you made a good point, Viz, when you said that how is her child picking up on this? How much of this does she take home? What is her child learning from this? Because she could be causing generational curses, right? And trauma to her child because of her decisions without her even knowing it. And to her, she's just living her life. So, I mean, I think that was a really good point. I think that is definitely a different way of looking at it. But I think it also has a lot to do with her age, where she is in life. And yes, we all can have a season of selfishness. But unfortunately, when we decide to have children young, that goes out the window, right? It's always about that child and what's the best example for them. But we don't always follow that unless we're mature enough to do so.
I don't know. I have to disagree. I don't know if y'all can hear me better now.
Yes,
yeah,
we can.
Amen. Y'all, so I don't know. I disagree with that because it's given damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Like, what if she's going into a season of isolation because she wants to stop some of the generational trauma that she's had and been living out inside of relationships, right? They're not going the way that I want them to go. They're not going good. Da 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 da. Let me put a pause on this, right? So that I'm not continuing to show my daughter what my mother showed me or what my grandmother showed her, mother, da 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 da. Like it's almost like as soon as a woman pulls her energy back and says, you know what, I'm cool right now. I don't want to do this. I don't want to, teach my child that it's okay to be in dysfunctional relationships. I don't want to show her that, right? What if I show her that choosing myself is the best thing that I could be doing for anybody near me right now, right? And I just feel like that. So before everything went down and crashed on my end, excuse me, on my phone. But like, what about It's a 4B movement. I was saying it has to do with there's a movement in South that was started in South Korea. Almost, I don't want to say for this very reason, right? But sometimes I think all the good that women do in relationships is unnoticed, right? Like we hear women say all the time how being a mother is a thankless job, right? Like we got to take care of that man. We got to take care of these kids. We got to do all of this stuff. And in the same token, I'm neglecting myself in order to do it. And where do I have the time to go within and listen to God and be silent? No, because my father's maybe mother's baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, where is the father who can take her and say, you know what, your mom looks beautiful today. Tell your mom she looks beautiful today, right? Where's the man that's pouring into her? We don't know all the things, but I can't see where y'all can say like, oh, she wants
Well,
to have the boyfriend. She wants to, da da da. But yeah, you're right. Maybe her cup is so empty right now from pouring into thankless relationships that she's like, you know what? I just want somebody to have me. And I'm not going to hold y'all. I see relationships where the woman is loving on herself. Like I'm talking about the happy wives that be outside doing their thing and be like, okay, I gotta love on me. I'm loving me first. They have, to me, sometimes the best outcomes in relationships because they pour into themselves so hard. Now, I'm not saying that you should use people. I don't agree with that. But I do think that maybe, I don't know, she just sounds tired to me, if anything.
Well, Raimi, I would agree with that if she didn't say that she's essentially still messing around with dudes. Like she's still outside bucking. You know what I'm saying? If you're being celibate, then okay, all right, I'm with you there. But she didn't say that she's not giving it up. She said that she's still doing her thing. She just don't want the girlfriend duties. So
Yeah, I
that
missed
in
that
my
part because
opinion,
that is
that
wrong. My bad.
that contradicts all of that.
Mm.
The second part, I would say that motherhood, fatherhood is more of a thankless job than motherhood. We
Ooh.
have we have Mother's Day where on even if it's just this one day between Mother's Day and Father's Day, Mother's Day for sure, without a question, is more promoted and celebrated than Father's Day. The mothers, children will always go to their mother to be soothed, to be praised, and the child is going to give the mother back something. Dad, not so much, because dad is the one that's going to put his foot down. Dad is the one that you keep acting up, I'm gonna tell your daddy. It ain't you keep acting up, I'm gonna tell your mama. It's not that. So I understand what you're saying, but I think that, and not to compare it, but I think that overall motherhood is absolutely thanked more than fatherhood, without a question.
Biz, I have to respond to that by saying, and respectfully, it's too late, right? As far as like comparison, because you did put that on the table to say that fatherhood is more, right, of a thankless job. I have to disagree with that only because I get how motherhood can be celebrated and everybody's in an uproar. Well, maybe they deserve that praise because I did push a human out of me. No disrespect to men and what they do and what struggles they face, but I'm sorry, I brought a whole spirit being here that into a physical being. That is something magical. And yes, I
And
have
that's
the
why
milk.
women
Hold
are
on, let me
thanked.
finish. Let me finish. I have the milk. I have the milk. I am the nurturer. That is my job as a woman, to nurture. And I honestly think, that is going to be in a way rewarded, right? Because I'm supposed to be the nurturer. But as men, y'all are taught not to feel, not to give, not to show emotion. Y'all are taught to be, hard body and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, is it that it's not thankless, or half of the men are not always present in the homes? Now, whether that's by choice, whether that's by I was just out here freaking that girl, so I'm just leaving her with a baby, whether that was by the system and they're locked up for whatever reasons, it's so many different, that's the spectrum, right, of where fathers exist in children's lives. But I'm not gonna sit up here and act like motherhood is like, oh, like fatherhood is like more, is less thank than being a mother. Like, I can't say that. If you got a healthy household, I love my daddy, I love my mama. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it wasn't a healthy household, and I knew who was there, who was gonna be making sure that certain things for me was taken care of, regardless of the situation. And that's most of y'all. Like, I don't know who was raised by who, but we can't just let's not do that. You know what I'm saying? Let's not compare it like it's not like I ain't pushing human out of me. You feel me? Like, let's not do